Alrighty, today's lesson is all about parts of a letter. So hopefully this is a review. It's okay to review things. Even I have to go back and check and make sure I remember all the parts when I write a letter. So that's why we are doing this, to make sure we remember, because letter writing is not only a skill you'll need for the rest of your life, it also tends to pop up on tests. So that's what we're talking about today. So like I was saying, why should you care? Letters are not ancient history. You're going to have to write cover letters to apply for jobs. Many people still think handwritten letters are very sweet and thoughtful. It takes 5 seconds to write a text. But think about how long it takes to write something out by hand and address it and put it in the mail. That means a lot to people, especially older people like me. You send me a letter, I know you really care. Someday you might write letters of recommendation for others. So, when you are the boss of your own company or, the instructor of your own dance school, whatever you want to do, one of your students might come to you someday and say, please write me a letter of recommendation for college, and you should know how to do that. Any professional email can and should follow most parts of a traditional letter. So I know email is something that old people do, but eventually you're going to need a professional email account. The one that doesn't have some crazy name, but actually is like your first name dot last name or something similar. You're going to use that to apply for jobs. You're going to use that to talk to people about colleges, building connections, building your network. And when you're making those professional when you're writing those professional emails, you should still try to format it a lot like a letter. Maybe not all the parts, but a lot of them. So it's important to know these parts. All right, so here's the write this down slide. This is everything you will need to remember. We start by writing this down. So these are important notes for you to remember. So go ahead and pause the slide and write this down. When you're ready, we will go on with the rest of the presentation. So just hit pause, write it down, hit play when you're ready. All right, so let's talk about SpongeBob. We're going to just pretend. So put on your pretending hats, as my 4-year-old son likes to say. Let's pretend that SpongeBob is a grade 8 student at our school. He wants to transfer next year to a selective high school. To be admitted, he needs letters of recommendation from his teachers. Very, very common. I get requests like this all the time. We are going to take a look at my letter that I wrote for Mr. SpongeBob SquarePants in order to monitor the parts of a letter. So give me just a second here. We're going to open it up. Here we go. All right, so here's my letter to SpongeBob. You're going to notice all the parts of a letter on here. So we're going to go ahead and read through this letter. And as we do, we will also be highlighting the different parts. So first I start with my name and the address of my school. Michelle Loyola, EDD, Grand Center Arts Academy, blah, 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 blah. And then I provide the information where the letter is going. It's going to Bikini Bottom High School. Obviously, I made that up. Then I have my date. So that's the order for the heading. So I know when you were in grade school, I probably just said put a heading on it. But this is the formal order for a business letter. You start with your info, then the info of where it's going, then the date, then you go into the greeting, okay? So all this here, I don't know what color. I'm feeling yellow because I like yellow. This is all the heading, okay? Down here is your greeting. So I made it very formal. Notice how I used what's a good color? Let's do that. So I like a colon when it is a formal letter. If it is a friendly letter, I would say, Dear Emily, or I don't know, whoever. I don't know why I said Emily. I don't even know an Emily right now. Dear Emily, comma, okay? Oh, I do know an Emily. Okay, I'm going to pretend I'm writing to my friend Emily. So there's a comma there, right? Because it's not as formal. But this is a letter to someone I've never met. This is a letter of recommendation for my wonderful student, SpongeBob SquarePants. So I use a colon to show that I am approaching this topic with respect and I'm considering it a professional letter. And then what I tried to do is follow the basic format you will see in pretty much any essay, where we have an introductory paragraph, a couple of body paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph. And in my introduction, I also included a thesis. Remember, a thesis is the main idea that wraps up the entire whatever it is that you're writing, in this case, the letter. It is my pleasure to recommend SpongeBob SquarePants for admission to your school. So that right there, that's my thesis. I'm going to be trying to prove that throughout this paper. Mr. SquarePants is currently in my grade 8 Communication Arts class at Grand Center Arts Academy. He is a hardworking, respectful, and resourceful student. Due to these traits, it is my strong opinion that he would be a strong asset to any school community. So as you can see, I'm just kind of introducing it and providing some really strong adjectives to describe him. Now what I'm going to want to do next is back that up. You don't say things like that without providing specific examples. Ooh, my kitty. Hi, kitty. Let's see if he wants to come here. Come here, you want to say hi? No, he ran off. If he comes back, I'll grab him. When I think about Mr. SquarePants in my class, I reflect upon his incredible work ethic. Mr. SquarePants frequently asks me to look over his work to ensure high quality. In addition, this student frequently helps his peers with work completion as well as focus. It is not uncommon to see Mr. SquarePants encouraging others to resume the task at hand, so providing very specific examples of the traits I mentioned for Mr. SquarePants above. In addition, Mr. SquarePants has a great personality. According to my observations of him with his peers, Mr. SquarePants is widely liked. His discipline record is a portrayal of his ability to work well with adults and other students alike. It is not an exaggeration to say I've never had a behavior concern involving the student. I'm eager to help Mr. SquarePants reach his goals any way I can. Please reach out to me at any time if I may be of any assistance. I would be happy to provide more information. Sincerely, and then we have the signature and the closing. So let's make sure we get all the parts. We said heading, greeting, body. So I know technically when you're writing an essay, you say introduction, body, conclusion. But when you're talking about the body of a letter, it's just like all the stuff that you write that's not the extra pieces. I know that's really confusing. I don't make this stuff up, guys. I just teach it. So sorry. Let's make it pink. Oh, it's kind of hard to read. We'll make it blue. And then, do you guys remember what that's called? That's the signature. Boop. Let's make it, that'll be pink. And then you've got your, do you remember? Oh, I messed it up. See? See, even I need a review. Did you guys catch me? I hope you did. So closing, then signature. The closing is where you say sincerely, yours truly, best wishes, whatever. So this is the closing. Derp. Make it gray. This is the signature, all down in here, okay? I like to use 2 different fonts when I'm typing a letter to make it look like I signed something if I'm being lazy and not signing it. This is not actually the right way to do it. What you really need to do is print it out, sign it by hand, and then type out your title down there. That's the right way to do it, okay? Notice sincerely has 2 E's. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen students mess up the spelling of that word. Sincerely has 2 E's, friends. Okay? All right. Let's go back to this slideshow, shall we? All right. And that's it. I told you it was a quick one. This is going to be your skill check. It's going to be a little lengthy. So you're going to be writing a letter. The letter must include all the parts. It can be very short. You're only going to be checked for all the parts of the letter, not its content. I'll worry about that stuff later. So for the heading, only include the date. Don't have to worry about addresses. You can write about anything you want, but I did provide 3 different ideas for you. You can request a letter of recommendation from a teacher. So, you know, dear Dr. Royola, the purpose of this letter is to kindly request a letter of recommendation from you to recommend me to this program that you want to attend, blah, blah, blah. It's always nice to put it in writing instead of come up to me at like 3:20 at the end of the day when I'm already tired and be like, hey, Ms. Loyola, it's due tomorrow. Can you write this for me? Don't do that. I might say no. Usually I say yes because I'm nice, but sometimes I'm tempted to say no. Another idea, write a cover letter for a job. So I know some of you guys are trying to get jobs right now, even if it's not a technical job like at a fast food place or the mall or anything yet. You know, you could write a cover letter to apply for a babysitting job or a lawn mowing job. There are jobs you can get at this age, and showing that you're professional is more likely to get you those gigs over other teenagers. And last one, write a friendly letter to any character from SpongeBob, my personal favorite being Squidward. So write a letter to Squidward. Ask him why he's so upset all the time. Have a wonderful time writing that letter and reach out if you have any questions.